Hey, how's it going?
Sam, do you prefer Sam or Samantha?
I prefer Sam.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
And
I
it's I've never seen. Is it Derek with an A?
Yeah, it's Derek. Like, so I live in Massachusetts, and I hear, like, if I go to the eastern part of the state, I hear Derek a lot. Like,
Uh,
yeah, but
nice.
yeah, it's not phonetic. It's Derek. So
Yeah. Okay. Great.
yeah. First of all, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Secondly, kind of interested to read about your corporate life early on. 2 years into it, that was enough for you.
Yeah, that was. I think it was enough for me even before I started. I just couldn't admit it to myself.
Yeah.
I just took the traditional route because I didn't know anyone that made a living in the arts. It just seemed so impossible to me, and so I just took the traditional route and then suppressed my dreams for a very long time, and then finally woke up and was like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life, and
Yeah.
took the plunge.
So what's that like? You're going to work every day for 2 years, and your head and your heart are like somewhere else. Like they're what you really want to do. That's a long 2 years. So like people can hear this, yeah, it's 2 years and she changed her mind. That's a long 2 years when you really. I'm not going to say you don't want to be there. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you clearly had other aspirations.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And I think I learned there's a difference between being able to do something and wanting to do something. So,
Right.
like, I
Right.
totally could continue to work there and I thrived there and I produced great work. I just didn't want to be there. And everyone around me, they loved what they were doing. It was like their dream job. So I thought,
Yeah.
well, why did these people get to wake up every day and have a pep in their step and they feel so fulfilled? Why am I suffering, basically? And
Right.
I thought, no one's doing it to me except myself. So that's when I said, okay, I need to be like them, just somewhere else.
Is it risky taking the steady income and then putting it with a huge question mark when it comes to acting? Like, it could be great, it may not be great. There could be droughts. There could, financial droughts. So did that play in your decision, or were you like, you know what, I'm just going for it?
Yeah, I actually, coincidentally, the same year I bought my first home was the year I had my first mortgage, was the same year I quit my job to be an actor.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I didn't
Yeah.
really think it through, but very quickly, what really helped get my feet off the ground in terms of income when I was getting started was I worked as a casting reader. So that was when you go into, now it's self-tape since COVID, but we used to audition in the room and you needed an actor to read opposite the actors that were auditioning. And so I got that job and it was amazing, one for the pay, but two for the experience to just kind of be a fly on the wall and see how the decisions are made in the room. And that was the best acting lesson I could have learned, was being in those rooms.
Sam, so who employs you as a casting reader? Is it a company? Is it an agency? Who employs you?
So it's actually the casting director. So they
Gotcha.
pick who they want as a reader, and most of them you learn they'll kind of pick two or three and they rotate. So to get in is very difficult, and that's why for
Right.
years I never even tried to apply. I was like, I'm never going to get that. But I
Right.
went to a casting workshop, which is kind of just like a class for actors, and they audition in front of a casting director and they tell you what you're doing wrong. And at the end of it, I thought I'm going to send them a thank you email, and I'm just going to shoot my shot. Just right at the end, I was like, P.S. If you ever need a reader, someone called in sick, I'm available. And I never heard back from them for months. And then, 3 months later, they were like, hey, someone called in sick. Like, do you want to come in? And I was like, this is my chance. And so
Yeah.
I went in, they liked me, and then I was in the rotation. So
So let me ask you this. So you're working for a casting director, and then your other people who are auditioning for jobs, you are reading to each other. I have this correct, right?
yes, but I'm not on camera, just the actor
I
auditioning.
got you. I got you. So let me ask you this. Were there any big names that you had gone back and forth with?
Uh, yes, but I can't ever say. You kind of
Okay.
like swear an oath when you're a casting reader.
Gotcha.
But also like not too big a names because I feel like those people don't actually have to audition when
They
you're
don't
at
have to reach.
where you
Yeah.
get an offer. But some B-listers in there, yeah.
So while you're at your just a couple more questions on your early life here, like
Yeah.
when you're going to this job that you're not particularly fond of, like you have other aspirations, as we said, are there actors or movies or an actor's path that you admired and you were like, I want to be like him, I want to be like her, I love this person's work, I love the way she does things, or maybe an influential movie, or both?
I think two come to mind. One was Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, she's great.
And it was also just because she was a Canadian actor and really did the whole LA thing and worked in really big American projects. And that was the first time that I saw, like, okay, you can be a Canadian and still get access to these larger scale projects. So that gave me hope, her story. And
Right.
now, just in terms of like the quality of acting and the roles that she chooses, I would say Viola Davis. I just love, she's just a true chameleon. Every time I hear, like, she does these like little clips of acting lessons for actors, and one of them recently that I saw, it was like, it's not your job as an actor to be likable, it's your
Yeah.
job to just tell the truth. And I feel like you see that in her work. She's never trying to make a likable choice, she's just honest in everything she does. So
Yeah, that's a great answer. There's you had an interview in which you said you were talking about The Last Man, your big break, I guess you could say, right? And then you were talking about how you learned to build a character arc over time. Sam, explain that to me. I mean, I know what that means, but like, explain that to me from like your POV.
yeah, so I before Why the Last Man, I was kind of just doing one episodes, just coming in. They call it principal roles in Canada.
Yeah,
And I feel like you kind of just serve a purpose, right? Like, you're coming in and you're either delivering information, and you can't really build a character that way. You don't, there's no real backstory. You don't have relationships with a lot of people on the show, in terms of character work, not crew. Um,
gotcha,
and I feel like when you have multiple episodes, you can really dig deep and show different layers of your character. One episode you can kind of show a certain aspect, and the next episode you can show a different texture as your character is sort of going on this journey. It's hard when you
gotcha,
have just one episode, and you kind of come in, you got to do the thing, and then you leave.
gotcha. Yeah, that makes total sense. So let's jump into From a little bit. So I asked Reddit some questions, and one of the people asked a really good one, and I never even thought about it. Does Acosta, is there a first name? Is that her last name? Is there a full name that we don't know about? Like, help me out with this.
She does have a first name, but that is yet to be revealed. So I will
But do
not.
you know it?
I know it.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it like, so let me ask you this, and if I'm getting onto something, you don't have to answer. But like,
Okay.
is it a big part of the plot? Is it is it kind of plot?
I can't answer that part.
Oh, okay. So her first name could be a thing, but it couldn't be a thing. But I'm not going to ask you. But
Yeah, it could be a thing or it couldn't be a thing.
so your character Acosta, she makes a great first impression, comes to town, shoots Nikki. But
Yeah.
is that so? Your first day, right, on set, and I've heard you talk about this too. Like, episode 4 was There and Back Again, right? So
Yeah.
not only are you have the pressure of being on this cast, you have the pressure of being on one of the most popular TV shows of the last 3 seasons, and you're also doing cardio on your first day of set. So you've
Yeah.
got your lines, you've got meeting a new cast, you've got cardio. Not sure many people make that intro that way with those 3 things, right? So
Yeah.
just talk anything about those challenges, and is that a lot to take in at your on your first day of filming?
Yeah, so I always get unlucky in the sense where the scene that I don't want to be shot on my first day, it's always my first day. I thought that it would be different on the show, but it was not. So my first day was episode 4, as you said, when I was pulling my gun, the EMT's throats get slashed. Spoiler alert if anyone hasn't seen episode 4. And I'm pulling my gun, seeing these creatures for the first time. And that was my first time meeting the crew. It's like negative 20 degrees, Halifax winter. And I just thought, like, the stakes of this scene are so high, right? And I didn't know that the creatures are, I didn't know if it was green screen. I didn't know if we were acting opposite a tennis ball and then they CGI it in. But when you're
Right.
there, you see these creatures fully decked out in prosthetics. Like, what you see in the final version is what we as the actors see. And so once I saw that, I thought, okay, this is going to be a lot easier than I thought to kind of drop in, because it's just all right there in front of you. There's very little you have to imagine. And then
Right.
anything that was going on in my mind in terms of being nervous or anxious, I just thought that's exactly what Acosta is thinking in this exact moment. So it actually just fed the scene.
Yeah, but also has to impress anybody that's on set that says, "Hey, we got this actor, and she's done these 3 things really well." So that's, I mean, what a good first impression, or chance to make a good first impression.
Yeah, for sure. I did think of that too. You just never want to be like the cog in the wheel. You don't want to be the bottleneck.
Yeah,
Just, you want to
yeah,
make the day. You want to do a good job. And I think now seeing it, it turned out, perfectly. So,
yeah.
but yeah, it was.
So Acosta goes that there I feel like there's a 3 steps from when you get out when a new character comes in, right? There's the idea of being in a strange place, not knowing how you got there, who the hell these people are. There's that. Then there's the idea you are trapped and you kind of can never leave, and that realization sinks in. So if
Mhm.
those 2 things aren't enough, you are then at night, these horrible creatures come out. Eventually, if you stay long enough, you will develop hallucinations, which I hope. I'm on episode 9 right now, so I want to be careful what I say. I have one
Oh,
more
okay.
left. So,
Oh,
but,
okay. You're on 9. All right.
yeah. So, yeah, and I'm going to talk to the actress. Her name escapes me now. Fatima on Wednesday,
Oh,
and
Pega. Yes.
yeah, Pega. And
Yes.
I'm going to tell Pega. I'm going to say, look, like I thought it was disgusting. You're eating black vegetables or whatever that is. But like when she's like pounding like blood now, it's like Jesus, like what
Yeah.
is going on?
Yeah.
Yes, it gets
You go
so
on a
much
journey.
worse. Yeah, it gets. But can I ask you this? So I asked this of David the other day. Like no one wonders about how these like beautiful cabbages have been grown. Like nobody's been growing them. It's like this perfect like vegetables and grown
Right.
crops. Like where no one wonders, hey, who grew them? Hey, look how perfect these things look. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the food and I've said this before. I don't want to sound repetitive, but the food and the drink from are very.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
also, and the electricity.
Yes.
That's what I want to know above anything else. I need to know about the electricity situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. But like that, the part because like the monsters part at night is only the cherry on top of everything, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god. So your character is going through all of this. She's trying to make sense of things, and she has a traumatic experience by shooting Nikki, which she clearly didn't mean to do.
Yes.
So just talk about that from a character's point of view, Samantha. That's a lot to take on for, you know, we talked about the off camera, what you're doing as an actor, but for a character in her arc and her what she's starting off with, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I've seen some people say, I think some people think that she saw Nikki in the window and shot her thinking she was a monster. But
Yeah,
what actually happened is there was a monster in front of the window that Acosta aimed at, missed
correct.
into the window. And you kind of see she doesn't even know the bullet went through the window. She just
Yeah,
goes into the house. And then you see the camera from her POV, like pan to the glass, pan to the blood, pans to the couch with Nikki, and she sees it and connects the dots that it was on her own hands, like Nikki's
right.
blood's on her hands. And so I thought, like, all I knew at the time was that Acosta is a rookie police officer from Camden, Maine. So what does that mean? Well, Camden, Maine has a population of 5,000 people. Maine is, I think, the second or third lowest crime state in America. So she's
Right.
probably never seen a dead body in real life, Acosta.
Right.
She's probably never pulled her gun in the field, having to use it, right? And she's a rookie cop who's
And she's a
inexperienced,
rookie. Yeah, I was going to
right?
say
So
that.
you
Yeah,
take
yeah.
those 3 elements and then you put her in a supernatural situation with unkillable monsters, and you get exactly what happened in
Yes.
4. And now, not only does she have to sort of grapple with the weight of this death on her hands, but no one's really giving her, as you'll start to see, information. Like she doesn't have a proxy like we've seen in past seasons where someone is attached to the newbie and sort of explains what's going on. She doesn't have that. So she's having to piece together what this town is all about and how it operates on her own.
Right. And Boyd is really hard on her at first. Like I get the tragedy that happened, but Boyd's talked other characters off a ledge. Like he's got to realize she doesn't know any of this. Like
Yeah.
there's no possible way anybody could process this in a moment's notice and like assume they know what these monsters are, what the situation is. It's
Yeah.
like being dropped, out of a time machine into just a given
Yeah, like you're in
situation.
outer space. Like
Correct.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I will say that what I loved so much I always knew that I was in good hands, but when I really knew that Acosta was going to be in good hands in terms of writing was episode 5, when she just has that scene where she goes into the sheriff's station, Boyd rips her a new one, but she's apologetic, she's remorseful, but then she's trying to help.
Yeah.
But when I started to read the script and I saw, as Costa's walking into the sheriff's station, I thought, oh, please don't make her be crying and upset and emotional. I want her to just persevere. Like she messed up. She knows she messed up. She's going to move forward and she wants to help. She wants to be of service, which is what police officers give their life to do, right? Is to be of service and help. And so I love that mixture of, you see that she's remorseful, but then she wants to help. She's not coming in on a power trip. She's not trying to make a strategic move. It's like in her DNA. She doesn't know anything else. I don't even think she thought about,
Yeah.
should I go in? It's just, I have this idea. I need to help. And so I loved the writing aspect of that. And that really teases what her personality is like, as you'll see over the course of the season, is she's not on a power trip. She just really wants to help people
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny that you say that because like 40 years ago, had Acosta's character been in a show like this, she most definitely would have been weeping in that police station.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Definitely. And he kind of does get her back though with the people. Boyd kind of redeems himself a little bit, I think. You know, he does get her back. And I'm going to say, like, if you took the monsters aside, first let me say Colony House is a very weird place. Like I would never live in Colony House. I think it's a weird.
I wouldn't go over there for breakfast.
No way. That place is a weird place.
Yes.
Yes. Give me a town, give me my own house, like give me a couple cool roommates. I'm good. But like just aesthetically, you're looking at it from a scenic point of view. God, the front is beautiful. Like it's just a beautiful place. If there weren't monsters there, that would be a nice little getaway place. Like because I live in Massachusetts, so I love New England. I love parts of it. It reminds me parts of it of New England winter. You know, and New England. It's just I love the way it looks and the scouting department and whoever picks where they shoot. I know it's Canada, but it's just so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's well, the whole that was something that surprised me as well. Was the entire town is built? It's in Beaverbank, Nova Scotia, and all the structures that you see are there, and it's incredible what they have done.
Yeah, so I definitely think Acosta is a strong character. Do you think she's a little too nosy sometimes? Like she wants, like, wait, there was a murder. Wait a second, like she kind of is like, wait, there was a murder. Wait, what? And she's like taking notes. Like she's no nonsense. She really is she really is a rookie.
Say, as Acosta's lawyer, which I am, I will say that I think that's in your nature and in your training as a police officer is you are trained to look for things that other people wouldn't think twice to look for. Like if you're a police officer and you enter a room, you don't just enter a room. You're immediately looking at how many exits, how many doors, who's in this room, is there any weapon that they have, what's everyone's relationship to each other, who's strong, who's weak, who's a threat, who's not. Like your mind is constantly going. It's just in your nature. And so, like I said before, I don't think she's thinking about what she's doing. It's just this is her training. She's given her life to this. So there's a crime or something has happened, she's there.
Yeah. You know, Sam, the one other thing I didn't bring up was when she was of all the things she had to endure. How about the fact that the entire town hates her for like a good
how about
chunk
that?
of time? Like I can't believe I didn't bring that up, but like that's a lot too. It's like great, I shot somebody, everyone hates me, don't know what's going on. So that's kind of a tough thing for a character to deal with too. That's a pressure-filled situation.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit easier when people hate you and you don't know these people yet, right? So it's not like she was in the town and became friends with these people and then they turned on her, right? Like for her, it's like, okay, all these people that I don't know hate me. That sucks, but like I didn't know these people before, right?
So you're not losing anything.
Yeah. Again, for her, it's like a means to an end. Like I view her as not emotional in that way. Like she doesn't care so much about making friends, not because she's a bad person. Her goal is to get everyone out. Okay, so how do I get everyone out? I need information. How do I get information? I need friends. Right. So I think that will be the means for her to get there, is to try to strategically find people in town that she can align herself with, that can help give her information so she can then work off that.
Well, it's funny that you say that because somebody on Reddit, because I asked if they had any questions for you, and one of them thought that you were going to align with Sarah, who's kind of the other town castaway because of what she went through. I don't think so. I think something romantic is brewing with her and Kenny. So that's what I think. But maybe we're both wrong. Maybe we're both right. Either way, you're not saying anything either way.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
You know, but it's just really interesting though, everything you're going through. Being chased, we talk about the Halifax winter. How long are you on set for when you're shooting those scenes, Sam? Is it days at a time? Is it weeks at a time?
Well, it's hard to say. Like each scene, you'll finish that scene within the day of filming. So it just depends on how long that scene is. But I think that whole like sequence of, well, what you have to remember too is like we film things out of order. So like when I'm running up the Colony House hill to get into Colony House, that whole sequence that's outside will be filmed on a completely different day than what after I enter Colony House.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So because we film the interior of Colony House at a studio somewhere else. So there's pieces that are filmed on different days. So it's hard to give you an actual finite answer. Yeah.
I got you. No, great answer.
Yeah.
I have two final questions for you, and thank you for this time, and thank you for sitting with me. I
Yeah, of
appreciate it.
course.
So I've heard you say this on more than one interview. You talk about season 3 being the end of the beginning. Please elaborate on that. I mean, I know what you mean, but just for those maybe watching or hearing for the first time, what do you mean by that when you say that?
Yeah, so I actually heard our writer creator John Griffin say that, and when he said it, I was like, "That's the perfect way to explain." Because everyone in interviews keeps saying, "What is different about season 3? What can?" And it's hard to encapsulate it all. But when he said that, it triggered me because it's like, season 1, in my opinion, was very much the world building of the show, showing the
Right.
audience what this town is about, what the threats are in the forest, how it works. You can't go out at night. Season 2, I feel like had a lot more room to breathe in terms of getting into the character dynamics, and you start to really relate to and fall in love with these characters, right? Now you're
Right. Right.
to the people, the stakes are higher. And so now that's all out of the way. And now season 3, we're rolling. We're rolling into the mystery. We're rolling into really uncovering what's going on. And you can see like the leaps and strides that different characters in the show are making in terms of figuring out the piece to this puzzle.
Yeah. Do you know about a potential season 4? Do you know if there's any been talk of it? I'm guessing there has to be a season 4. Like,
I don't know yet. I mean, people are very confident that there will be one, but I mean, with
yeah.
Why the Last Man, like we got burned on that. We thought that was a shoe in, and we got canceled after like the 3rd episode of Twilight, and that was a huge show. So like, until I get a phone call, I don't think anything is guaranteed.
I do because I just don't. This show is the popularity. Not that your other shows that you've worked on haven't been, but this show's
Yeah,
popularity is like through the roof. And MGM Plus has put a lot behind this, and it's paying off. And it's got the right producers attached to it. It's got the right people attached to it. And my last thing is the cast. I don't think I've ever done a show where every single cast member I've interviewed, and some twice, have been so nice to me, like one after the other, including present company. But it's just been amazing. I've been just taken back by like the kindness of this cast. Like it's not fake. Like there's times I do interviews, almost all the time people are very kind, but like
mhm.
it's just overwhelmingly kind. Like this 2-year journey has been for me talking to the cast from. Have you found that to be the case as well?
I have. I will tell you two stories that lend to your question. Is the first was when I got a call back for the role of Acosta. It was with Jack Bender, and usually you're doing the scenes at a callback and you're reworking them, and we did that a little bit, but the majority of my call with Jack was getting to know each other.
Right.
And that's never really happened to me before in other roles that I've been up for. And so I think that lends to they really want to know that every cast member they bring on will mesh with the rest of the cast, is a good person, is kind, not a diva, no egos. And so you could really tell that as much as they want you to be a good actor and right for the part, it was very much so even more important for you to just be a good person. So that's probably why the cast, they've just built such an incredible cast. And then secondly, being new, they just welcomed me in with open arms, included me in everything. And it really made me realize this was the longest I've been on location away from my home filming
Mm.
something. And so the amount of time, like none of us are from Halifax. We all relocate there to shoot this show. And so we're away from our families, the comforts of our own home, and we only have each other out there. So not only do you want to make sure you love the project that you're working on, but to have people be as kind as everyone on that show is so valuable because you're away from your home. It's not worth it. If you didn't enjoy the people that you worked with, it wouldn't be worth it because you're just not at home with your family. So thank God that everyone was as kind as they were to me because it made my experience incredible.
Yeah, and Canadian kindness is a real thing. Like a lot of
It's
the cast has Canadian roots. It's a real thing.
it's real.
Could you ever be a police officer? I feel like that's one profession I could never do. I wanted to do it forever, but then I'm like, could I be the first one to show up a scene of a serious car accident and see like kids hurt or an older elderly get hurt? Like I couldn't do that. Like I would feel like that's one profession I don't have the makeup for. I feel like I would be shattered within a week seeing some of the
Right.
things they see.
Yeah.
How about you, Sam? Could you ever do that if you had to?
That's interesting. So I always say if I wasn't an actor, I would want to be a detective just because I am nosy. It's
Ooh.
probably maybe why you saw the nosy elements.
A little nosy at Costa. I noticed that.
I'm
Yep.
nosy.
Yeah.
But I could never because of what you said. I'm too emotional.
Yeah.
And if you're a police officer, you are showing up to arguably the most chaotic, situation in people's lives, and you have to put your mask on. You have to be the level head calming force of the situation, and just straight logic. You have to turn off the right side of your brain, and I'm unable to do that. I'd be a terrible poker player. Like, it's all over my face what my hand is. If it's I got a good hand, like you.
So what's around the corner for you? Is there anything you wanted to give out? Is there anything you wanted to say? I will leave the last few seconds for you, Sam.
Yeah. So there's a couple things in the works that I can't say yet. I am riding the From wave, and in this whole journey, I've realized, I think with a show like this, that's such a big show. Filming it felt like one experience, and now the release of it has felt like something entirely different but amazing. Just seeing what we've worked on for such a long period of time, you give it to the audience and you see the level of online engagement of what people think of the characters, of their theories. And so I've been loving that aspect of interacting with fans, doing interviews like this. It's just a whole new experience for me, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Do you forget like stuff? So like when you film something and it's like, let's say it's months ago, right? And then you're watching, you're like, oh crap, I did do that, or oh my god, I forgot about it. So it's kind of new to you again.
Yeah, but also even, going back to that scene or the whole episode of episode 4, when, Acosta's being chased by the creatures and stuff, like seeing the sound effects and the music and it all being cut together, because, when you're using the firearm on set, there's no projectile from the gun. There's no sound, there's no noise, there's no air release. So you kind of feel ridiculous that you're just sort of miming it, and you're like, I'm going to look so stupid. And then when you see it all put together, it just looks incredible. So I've been enjoying that aspect of it for sure.
I tell you one thing, if I was in From and I was there, I would fall for the creatures every time. Like,
you would?
Some of those, they're so convincing. They're like, oh, I'd be like, oh, you really do care about me? Oh, and then there was, I had one of them, the girl that shows up, it was last season. And she looks so innocent and so sweet. And then we have Smiley, who's definitely evil, but like some of them are so convincing. The elderly woman's like, oh, can I help you?
Yeah. I think I would open the door for her.
I'd be like, oh, all right, come on in. And that'd be the end of me. But Sam, thank you for this time. You are a wonderful guest, and I'm really enjoying Acosta in your debut on From. It's so much fun to watch, and hopefully down the road you come back on again.
Yes, this was so fun. Thank you so much for having me. Truly, I enjoyed it.